this is Kaylee from Homegrown Art. Today I'm going to be showing you how to add detail lines to your floral line drawings. We'll be using a Cosmo flower, and if you'd like to follow along with a step-by-step tutorial, I've linked my tutorial from Instagram in the description below. Let's just get started. So we'll be starting with an oval. It'll be just on an angle, slightly. And then you'll have a smaller oval just in the center and just above from the bottom, not the direct center. There we'll add the top 3 petals, so finding the center of the smaller oval. It's a rounded petal and back down. Next will be a similar shape, except it will be bending a bit upwards. Okay. And same shape on the other side, curving upwards, rounding out and back down into center. Next, petals will be more flat, almost directly out, more square but rounded, and then back. Same thing, almost straight out, curved up to that guideline, and then curving back towards center. Next we will have this one just underneath it, still a pretty straight line out to our initial guide circle. And then we're going to find the center of the space that we have left. Next, this one's going to be a little bit more rounded, curving up, down, and back around towards center, and then adding a rounded bottom to that one. So we've just created a petal fold. So next we'll be adding the texture to the edges. You can add wavy lines that are more dramatic, that are more vague, but that's up to you. Today I'm going to be adding a little bit more dramatic of an edge. Okay, so you add your wavy lines to the center and then blend it out into that initial guide shape that we made. Okay, wavy lines. Blending out to the edge again. They'll vary, some will be deeper, some will be more shallow. Blending out. Okay, this is our last flat petal here. And this last one with the petal fold is going to be slightly different. We are going to add those wavy edges to this line that comes up and down. So we'll keep it within that. And then blending it out into the sidelines. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to ink this so it's easier to see as we go. I'll put you in time-lapse mode and we'll meet you at the end of that. Alright, so I've gone in, I've inked the outsides of the petals, I finished the center, and then I've added the guidelines for our detail lines in pencil throughout the petals. All of this is in the tutorial that I have linked below, and it's step-by-step, slide-by-slide, everything that you'll need to get this far. Next, I'll be showing you the easiest way to add these detail lines. I generally like to start with more of a solid line throughout the center, and then as we make it through these other guidelines, to start with more of a solid line, and these ones are just going to be in pencil, and then once you like them you can add them in your fine liners. So a couple dots, so we'll be working in lines, dots, and dashes. Okay, starting out mostly with solid lines. A couple dots there, finish off, dash, and then a solid line partway. Okay, and you don't need to do it perfectly like this, but I'm just going to show you the easiest way to vary your detail lines throughout your work. So starting with some solid lines, from here we're going to start at the base. We have 2 solid lines, and then next we're going to add something that's broken up. So either dots or dashes, up to you. I'm going to start with a few dots. Let's do dashes because we are still beside 2 solid lines. And then as we get to this is broken up a little bit. We can go ahead and then we can add another more solid line. Okay, we have dots over here. Let's go dashes, dash, and try and aim between the lines that you have added already. It makes it easier to keep them evenly spaced throughout your work. So dash, dash, still beside 2 solid lines. Let's go a couple dots, finishing with a little more solid line because we're getting to some dots over here. Let's go dashes, dashes, let's go solid line, dash, dot. See what I mean? So it just varies it throughout your work. Here it just feels a little bit empty. Just add a small line, a couple dots, fill that in. Let's go a longer solid line, dash, dash, longer solid line. And here, let's go a few more dots, a longer solid line. Let's go dots. There we go. So we have broken it up throughout our petal. If you want, you can add some detail lines from these lower spots at the tip of the petal that we've created. Those will still follow the shape of those guidelines that we've made. So essentially you're going to do just that throughout all of your petals. You can have solid lines next to each other, you can have dots next to each other, that's all up to you. This is the easiest way that I've found, keep things from looking bunched up in your illustrations. I'm going to go through the rest of the petals doing that same thing. We'll meet back at the end. I'll ink it and you can see what that looks like once you've gone through and finished that on all of your petals. So all of those detail lines are inked. We can see that for the most part, everything seems pretty broken up. I do find, since it's all been done in the same size fine liner, that the edges of the petals are getting lost a little bit. If you find your work is looking like that, go over where the petals divide. So here, you can see that just adds a little bit more depth. I wouldn't necessarily go around the full petal though, because it might look a little heavy. But just to go in and create more of a shadow where petals might overlap or connect, it will help to divide those lines for you. Okay, and now also if you've gone over and you have made all your lines and you're being drawn to certain areas where you feel like things are a little bit sparse, start with dots. I find if you go in with anything heavier like a line or the dash, that it might look like a little bit much. I'm being drawn here a little bit. You can see pretty consistent. And then this one, even this one a little bit, is just a little sparse. We do have some dots throughout the end here, so I'm going to leave this one. This one though, let's add a few dots. And the best thing about drawing is nobody's going to judge your work as hard as you're going to judge your work, so don't worry too much about it. I'll finish adding in these darker lines here. So here's the final Cosmo. If you made it this far and have found this video helpful, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Friday. I also put out new drawing tutorials, mostly florals, multiple days a week on Instagram, so I'll put a link below for that. But if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will get back to those as soon as I can. All right, we'll see you next week. Take care.